Hey, thanks for tuning in. The build and the painting are all done. 244 steps, minus the option steps. In the last episode, we finished the engine assembly. I'm leaving the engine exposed, but process this piece, which goes under the engine. I will add it at the end. Went together fine. Sealed up the seam with Mr. Surfacer. I had fun with this next step. Painting and weathering the exhausts. I have the left and right sides separated. You have to glue on the proximal half of the fairing. I'm guessing it would take slide molding to have it as one piece. They engineer it so the more obvious seam is pointing down. They took a lot of prep work. Filled the seams with Mr. Surfacer. Sanded and repeated as necessary. People seem to have a common strategy. Prime with black. Give it a metallic color. Give the metal a burnt tone. Wash it. Then give it a rust and black powder treatment. After priming, I painted it aluminum. Then coated with black chrome. I then gave it a light coat of exhaust manifold. Then washed them and wicked away excess. Light rust, rust, and dark rust washes. For pigments, I used old rust all over. Then carbon black for the exhaust tip. I put them in and then move them around, so the darker ones are further downstream. I'm going to leave the main flap in a semi-open position. I have the pieces sorted by wing. I prime everything with Mr. Surfacer 1500, 50% with Mr. Color Leveling Thinner, 18 psi through an Iwata Eclipse HP 0.35. I then highlighted with 1500 gray. I want these flaps movable. That snapped during prep, but no worries. I'm going to try some of that Mr. Dissolved putty soon. I got that flap all cleaned up and attached. Then I added the wing tips. Now for the main business.
I mean, it is a big step, and where are we going to get the guns?
The indexing isn't fabulous, so start with the muzzle end. They only go in one way. I found one fit one wing better than the other. I'm doing option C, so the hub with 4 spokes. That gap was my issue and cleanup, not the kit. The little brace. The side with the 3 bolts points to the right. The fit on this kit is so amazing. I hit it with black chrome to dull it. Then a 50% cut of Tamiya black liner. In photos, these little bits look brass. I painted them in Tamiya rubber black, but it looked so dry. I added 20% Tamiya gloss clear and resprayed them. Much better. I'm going to add dirt in 3 layers, dark to light, in light coats. The fit was perfect. There seems to be a black brake line that comes down on the posterior edge of the wheel cover. I'm going to add the main landing gear towards the end. I'm guilty of videoing less as I get closer to the end. This went in perfectly. You need to tweezer in the brace over the wheel when you glue it. Another part I'll build up now and add at the end. Perhaps the only part of the instructions they do not tell you what to do. You need to add this glass base to the Gunsight. I was trowel fitting, got it in place, and left it. Leave this to the very end. I added it before painting, and it broke in half, flipping the plane. I'll fix it in the weathering step. I had to clean up the prop hub. I'm not sure why they needed to mold the prop blades in two pieces. I had to sand, fill, sand. I spent too much time on the hub. It's all hidden. None of this is seen when the nose is on. I used AK Real Yellow for the blade tips. That's a 6-inch ruler. Just showing here, I've got everything joined up. Spoiler. I reprime, rehighlight, and repaint all of this. It just made sense to start over and make everything uniform. It was just the wings I had already camo painted. I'm building up a coat, one section at a time. I stop when I can just barely make out the pre-shading. When it dries, the paint becomes slightly more transparent. I've masked this so I can paint the RAF ocean gray on the fuselage. I've lined out the green camo color with AK putty. I tried to replicate the pattern from the decal and color sheet. I've masked off the area for the beige-green stripe. I recommend in hindsight priming the yellow space with gray first, and the red space with black. I didn't do either, so it took a lot of coats. Time to put the landing gear on. I needed a flashlight to see where this bit went. I had to strip the indexing points so this would fit in. Back to this step. I wanted to make things as open as possible. I chopped the linkage so it would fit at an angle. I'll add the slung door at the end. The navigation lights. I painted the socket aluminum. I think this is the gun camera lens. I decided to give it a blue coating as well. And lastly, I attached the engine, which joins at the firewall just fine, no issues. So here are the glamour shots. In the last episode, I'll give it all a satin finish, add the decals and weather the plane. Lastly, the canopy clear pieces will go on. Thank you so much for watching. Be well and happy modeling.